My name is Max Sinclair. I am the founder of Snowball Creations. I'm about to cover what are the best marketing channels for each stage in your business. So how can you go from pre-launch to launch, launch to scaling, scaling up to heavens above. So we're going to cover not just the channels, but also the tools that you might want to use at each of those stages. And I'm going to look at both B2B and B2C. The reason why I know about this stuff is because I run a marketing agency. I've been doing it for quite a few years now, and ultimately we know what works and what doesn't. And I have to make these kind of recommendations every day of my life on calls with clients when we have this initial call. So if you want to have a personal call with me and I can really pick which channels and tools you need for your business, then just get in touch. But I'm going to try and cover it as best as I can in this video without knowing you and your business. So B2B, pre-launch, what would you be doing? And this is actually quite similar for B2C, so I'm going to cover them at the same time. Ultimately, you want to be doing things that are just going to be building that initial attention. Some people think that you don't even start marketing until you've launched, but that's just not correct anymore. You can be building up a social media profile, so especially with B2C, you'll be doing things like Instagram, for example, maybe Pinterest and Twitter and other places. Instagram's really the biggest right now. Obviously, TikTok and other places are options as well. You also want to be building up an email list. That's either B2B or B2C. This can be done, really you want to build simple lead magnets, email magnets that are, when you're posting out this social media content organically, you're gonna just try and encourage people down into adding their email address in some way to your list, so that then you can be building up this kind of owned audience for yourself, so that when you do launch, they're ready to go. And all of the content you want to be doing at this stage really is just entertainment, thought leadership type stuff, if it's more to B2B. So you want to make people like you. That's really all you're doing. You're trying to give value to them by entertaining them, educating them, or in any other way. And also, if you're looking to do SEO, SEO really is a good backbone for all businesses. I would be starting that now. So you can start to blog, for example, start to write articles, do some good keyword research and start that engine, because that takes 6 months to a year to really start to deliver anything for you. And then let's go on to launch. So once you actually launch this amazing business into the world, maybe you're at this point currently, if it's B2B, I personally really like LinkedIn lead generation. So automation with LinkedIn lead generation is extremely powerful. It's been around for quite a while, but as long as you do it the right way, like my agency does it, for example, you have to do it in a way that the copy is entertaining and hits the mark and avoids this kind of like lame, spammy approach to it, basically. Like make sure that targeting and the copy are really on point. If you can manage that, LinkedIn lead generation is unbelievably powerful still. And the reason why I think it's good at this launch moment for a B2B business is it's very much direct conversations going on. It's direct sales. You don't have a huge brand yet, so just doing that much more direct approach that's a bit more hands-on, you're going to get tons of feedback. You're going to find out the right kinds of hooks that come and hit the mark within the copies that you A/B test within that process. And so you'll be able to use all of that going forward and really improve on your business with that feedback that you get from LinkedIn lead generation. B2C side, for this launch point, I personally really like viral competitions. So we have a service we do as viral competition management. We use a service called Viper, this piece of software. And that ultimately means that you can not just get a bunch of Instagram followers, but also build an email list, get Instagram followers, get YouTube subscribers, or anywhere else you want to be, and build up multiple different owned audiences within one single competition. So they're really, really powerful. I definitely would recommend them for this launch moment so that you can build up some of those kind of initial audiences. Like Instagram following in itself isn't necessarily valuable in a huge way anymore, but the vanity metric of people just seeing that you've got 5, 10, 15, 20,000 followers instead of 50 means people just trust you. They don't trust a company that only has 20 followers on Instagram because it could be a scam, basically, is what they're thinking. And what about the next stage after launch, in my eyes, is really once you've achieved product market fit. So once you are starting to make some sales, you feel like the business has found itself to some degree, and so you're trying to basically scale at this point. So you need to go from more of a direct sales for the B2C side to also doing more of a kind of automated marketing campaigns around all of that to spread yourself in a larger more scaled way. So things like that I would instantly think of are paid ads. And in particular at this point, Google Ads is a really great one to start with because it's kind of the low-hanging fruit for many businesses. It's not right for everybody. If people don't search for you in Google, it won't work. But generally speaking, very high search intent, and it's generally got a very good return on investment. As long as you get someone to do it right for you, like my agency does, then ultimately it's a great place to start, one of the best paid channels to begin with. Or also LinkedIn ads possibly could be a good place to start if you're maybe not being searched. I have another video about the kind of starting budgets that are required for different paid ads channels, so I'll link that here. Ultimately, it's generally that kind of, you need over £1,000 at least to be able to invest into this, any paid ads channel, to be able to like manage it properly and also have the ad budget and everything like that. But yeah, watch that video and it'll give you a better picture. And then on the B2C side, in this same product market fit moment, where you're kind of just at that initial stages, I would suggest Facebook and Instagram is probably one of your best bets. So it's ultimately the biggest paid network. It's absolutely amazing quality of targeting. So you can test lots of different audiences very quickly. You can test different products. You can test different landing pages. You can really speed up your learning very quickly with Facebook and Instagram advertising. And I personally think it's one of the easier wins in comparison to some of the newer channels like TikTok and stuff like that. Google Ads, to be fair as well, would also be really good for B2C in this situation, but I think it's a battle between the two of them for B2C a bit more. And then the last stage I'll talk about is the fully scaled. So say this is when I don't want to say numbers specifically in revenue because it's so different depending on the business model, but ultimately you're making good revenue at this point. Like you've probably like systemized and are making good returns from some of those initial channels. You've got the kind of basics all in place. You've got good social followings, all this stuff. And you're like, okay, what's the bigger final large opportunities to really scale out into? So this is where you kind of push yourself out to some of the channels that are less low-hanging fruit. They're the hardest stuff to get, but if you can get them right, then they can add another whole channel to your marketing mix. So from the B2B side, I would say Google Ads and LinkedIn lead gen are the more obvious ones, but Facebook and Instagram ads are also really effective for B2B. So if you can understand that and try and like work that through yourself and make Facebook ads work for yourself, you're going to have a third in the you'll have a trifecta of paid ads to take advantage of. So I would look to Facebook and Instagram ads. Potentially influencer marketing and things like that can be good at this point because it's not quite as clear a return on investment necessarily always, but you can get it to work for yourself if you get a good system in place. And then on the B2C side, similarly, I'm kind of looking at those secondary paid ads channels in particular. So places like TikTok, Snapchat, Pinterest. Pinterest is really jumping up quite a lot right now, but TikTok's a good example where some companies will say you can capture loads of very cheap attention on TikTok because it's just huge and it's very cheap right now. They all go to your website. They don't necessarily buy things because the system's not quite built out or well enough yet to do that, and people aren't in that moment. But once you get them to your website, you then use Facebook and Instagram remarketing to get that conversion. So you combine a combination of TikTok and Facebook and Instagram can get you some really exceptional ROIs, like 7 to 10 times we've seen. So that's kind of where I look to as that kind of fully scaled point in the journey. Hopefully this helps. So pre-launch to launch, product market fit, point, fully scaled up. Those are the kind of stages that I've looked at, and you're kind of starting with organic and email marketing. You want to have like building up this SEO the whole time. And then as you really figure out the product, you go into paid advertising. And then finally, you're kind of switching from those quick, easy wins of paid advertising channels into the much broader ones like TikTok and some of these newer channels. That's the journey that I generally look to try and take a company through when we're working with them. Some businesses we start with are brand new. They literally have a whole new website. So we're in those earlier stages for them, and others are further along at the very peak. And we're trying to expand their marketing to take them from, 50 to 100K per month revenue or whatever that might be. So it's all of this, of course, is dependent on your budget as well. So paid advertising is expensive, but it's the thing that works the best ultimately. So you want to be moving towards that. yeah, I hope this helps. I hope that you've taken something from this. If you are interested in getting some professional help, please do get in touch. Please do subscribe as well if you're not already, or like this video, share it around. I really enjoy making these. Yeah, I wish you luck.